Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this November 14th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. Don't forget, all of our stuff is available at EOA.network. That takes you to a link tree where you can find all of our outlets, our Facebook and YouTube channel and Roku channel and web and so on and so forth. There also is a place there where if you want to, you can support what it is that we're doing here. Here in just a little bit, we're going to have Scott Carpenter, the Assistant Superintendent of the LeGrand School District, will be with us. How are you?
Good. It's first Friday.
Well,
We made it to another one.
Yeah.
Halfway through November already.
I know. And winter is coming.
Yeah.
I drove over yesterday to Pendleton, and there was slushy snow up on top.
Yeah. I saw a video from Tollgate store where they got yesterday morning, in like a few hours, they got 8 inches, just hammered.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Meh.
Yeah.
No fun.
Yep.
There's definitely going to be snow. I think it said what? We'll know when we look at the weather, but I think it's like towards the end of the weekend we're going to get some down on the floor of the valley.
Well, it's just that I guess there's some big storm. I was watching national news and there's a big cold front coming through the Northwest.
When I was a kid, we'd always have snow by this time.
Yeah.
Like we haven't had any snow yet.
Yeah.
It's November 14th.
Well, and it's like this, everything has shifted a couple of weeks. Yeah.
So,
and so, because when we did Halloween as a kid.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Always snow.
Yeah, you'd have a costume, but you always had a coat over the top of it.
Yeah, or underneath it. Your costume. You'd have to buy it 4 sizes too big so you could wear your snowsuit underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh, you want to do sports?
Let's do it.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit right here in LeGrand. Excite your imagination with the 2024 Dungeon Masters Guide. Revised and expanded for 5th edition D&D. Whether you're a new or experienced Dungeon Master, here's everything you need to weave epic tales, build fantastical worlds, and inspire memorable moments for your party to enjoy. You can pick this up at Hobby Habit right here in LeGrand, 411 First Street, just for the fun of it. LHS girls soccer hosted North Marion in the state semifinal game on Tuesday night at Community Stadium. Man, it was a heck of a game. It was all the way into the second OT and on the verge of penalty kicks when a ball leaked past the North Marion goalkeeper and Rowan Evans finished the deal at the 6-minute mark. The Tiger Girls would hold off North Marion for the final 6 minutes of the second overtime to win 1-0. These girls go to Hillsboro and take on Marist Catholic at Liberty High School on Saturday at 6 p.m. This one's for all the marbles, man. It's the first time LeGrand girls soccer has been in the state final since 2013. In 2013, they lost in the finals. Hopefully that changes this year. Let's get a state championship, girls. Congratulations to these young ladies from LHS Volleyball on being selected All-GOL First Team. First Team All-League, Audrey Basinius, outside hitter. Kale Coleman, outside hitter. And Riley Robinson, libero. Second Team All-League, Emery Hutchins, middle blocker. Madison Armstrong, middle blocker. And Madison Sievert, outside hitter. And then also congratulations to these boys from LHS Soccer for their All-GOL League honors. Kason Carlson, midfielder, first team. First team, Ricardo Rossi, winger. First team, Sirach Kellogg, defender. Second team, Isaiah Cast, forward. Eric Villagomez, defender. And then honorable mention, Peyton Stenkamp, defender. And then a special congratulations to my boy, Eastern grad, former EOU basketball player, and head volleyball coach at Ontario High School, Peter Hamilton. He was selected as the GOL co-coach of the year this year. So that's pretty cool. I think it's only his 3rd year coaching volleyball, and he's already getting coach of the year. That's nice. EOU women's soccer lost a heartbreaker in overtime of the semis in the CCC tournament to bring their season to an end, while the men went into overtime in the semis as well, but their outcome was a little bit different. Edgar Romero found the net in the overtime period with a golden goal because in college soccer in the CCC, you play 2 10-minute overtimes, but they have a golden goal rule where first goal wins. In high school soccer, you play the 2 10-minute overtimes, and you play them all the way out, and the score at the end of those 2 overtimes is the final. But in the CCC in college, they if you score, it's sudden death. You win. The EOU men's team will play today at 2 p.m. In the finals of the CCC tournament against Carroll. This EOU men's team, with that win, punched their ticket to the national tournament as well, because Carroll won the regular season, and EOU and Carroll are playing in the tournament finals. EOU automatically gets that second automatic bid to the national tournament. So this is the first time in a while this EOU men's team's made the national tournament. And I've said it a couple times on social media. This team this year has a different buzz to it. They're confident. I spend time around them because I take pictures of them and have them on my shows. And it's just a little bit different this year with this EOU men's team. EOU women's basketball plays tomorrow and Saturday on the road in Caldwell at the Western Classic. EOU men's wrestling is in Des Moines, Iowa at the Grandview Open on Saturday. EOU football has its final game of the year this Saturday at 1 o'clock at Community Stadium. The Mounties host Montana Western. It's going to be the second time that they played Western this year. They played Western on the road early in the season. I think it was the first game, actually, and it was a non-conference game. This is a conference game, and EOU will celebrate their seniors on Saturday. So get out there and support the Mounties, 1 o'clock, Community Stadium. EOU volleyball will host the CCC tournament this Friday and Saturday. Games are all day tomorrow, with EOU playing at 7:30 tomorrow night. If EOU wins that game, they play Saturday at 3 p.m. for the CCC tournament championship. They're already the regular season champions. They finished in a 3-way tie, and so they already have their ticket to the national tournament punched. But I want them to win both, obviously. I want both banners. So if you have a chance, get out to Quinn on 7:30 on Friday, and then 3 if EOU wins on Saturday. This volleyball team finished the season ranked number 6 in the country, which is good. I mean, it's not as high as we were last year, but we had a couple conference losses this year. The CCC had 6, 7, and 8, and then we'll move straight into these all conference. First team for volleyball in the CCC, Ashton Bales is the first team outside hitter. Keep him going, Gabe. Kiana Mack is first team middle blocker. Haley Aratola, first team libero. Alexis McMurtry, first team all-conference setter. And then Madison Morgan, honorable mention outside hitter, right side. And then setter of the year for the second consecutive year, Alexis McMurtry in the CCC. And then finally, Haley Aratola finally got the respect she deserves and was named the CCC Libero of the Year. And both of those girls are seniors, and they both had great careers at EOU. And it's just another, thing to add to their long list of trophies and accolades. This EOU volleyball team's had a great year, and they're looking to make a run in the national tournament. And hopefully the last 2 years in a row, the semis, maybe we can make it past that this year and play for a championship. That would be awesome. AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit, just for the fun of it.
All right, good stuff. Let's take a look outside at the weather cam. Looks like is there a little bit of snow? I thought we said, but no. And then let's just look at the weather graphic.
Crummy.
Yeah, 48 today, 39 tomorrow, 42, 38 Saturday or Sunday. So
I like that 6% on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I don't like that 42 is the high.
So we had Tanya and I were talking about going to a game, and she's like, "Well, yeah, but it'll be cold, won't it?" It's like, it's November football. What do you think?
Yeah. It's gonna be cold. And if the wind picks up, it's miserable.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's miserable if the winds start. It's not bad like early in the fall if the wind picks up, but like once you start getting down into this time of year when that wind picks up, and it's even if it's like in the high 40s. It stings.
Yeah. So did you see, totally off the subject, did you see the end of the Kansas City game on what was that, Sunday?
They blocked a field goal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Lucky. Not only are they lucky, they got the refs in their pocket too. It's crazy.
That's what I hear. I mean, there's a lot of memes about that stuff. But
yeah,
that was just pure. I mean, I thought, okay, there goes the 8-0 season right there.
Yep.
And,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw the highlights. I wasn't watching the game. I refuse to watch those guys.
Do you?
Yeah. Even though I like Travis Kelce, I don't. They're in my division. I only watch them when we're beating them.
Yeah.
We haven't beat them.
I was going to say that you don't watch them very much then.
No, we haven't beat them in a while.
Yeah, no. I have a buddy who was at that game, and like, can you believe that? Yeah, it was just craziness.
They said when they interviewed Andy Reid about it, the head coach, he said that they noticed something during the week when they were looking at film, and they knew they were going to block that kick.
Really?
Yeah, that play was drawn
planned.
Up. Yeah, it was 100% planned. Huh. They said they noticed some chink in the armor on their on the special teams, and that they were going to block that kick. And I mean, they did, so they must have figured something out.
Yeah, that was a crazy ending. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody just felt like, okay, they just lost. Their perfect season went out.
I needed them to, because I mean, my Chargers are pretty hot right now. We're playing good football, and we're right there. We're in second place in that division, and so I need them to lose a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably won't win the division. We'll probably make it as a wild card, I would imagine. But I would much rather win the division. I hate Kansas City.
Yeah.
Well, I hate every team in my division.
That's right.
Raiders, Broncos.
You are a loyalist.
I actually made a comment on Johnny. Johnny posted a thing on his Instagram today.
Yeah.
He's got these dumb koozies on his wall in the studio, like all these koozies. And he's got a Raiders one up there, and I'm going to unfriend him. I'm going to unfollow him for that.
Yeah. Because
he's not a Raiders fan. Don't have any Raiders thing up in your office.
So what are koozies? I don't know what that is.
The thing that holds your beer,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a Raiders one up there, and I said, man, I go, get that Raiders one. I made a comment. Get that Raiders one off your wall. You're lame. It's serious business.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Scott Carpenter, LeGrand School District Assistant Superintendent, is going to be with us right after this.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku. Here in Eastern Oregon, we're blessed to live in such a wonderful area. And though it may seem mild-mannered, there's actually quite a lot that goes on in this area. And apparently, there's two dinguses who happen to be here that are actually crazy enough to get up at the crack of dawn to talk about it. Tune into AM Live on EOA with Brent and Doddsy, featuring special guests, weather, sports, news, and more, every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m., only on EOA Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku.
All right, we're back. Scott Carpenter, how are you, man?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Yeah, we've known each other for a while.
It's been a beat.
Yeah. When did you start as assistant superintendent? That's what, or assistant principal, right?
Yeah, I came to the district as an assistant principal. I was a transplant from Warrenton Hammond School District. I had taught there for a number of years and came as the assistant principal. My first year was actually the 2013 school year, so my first sport going to state was the girls soccer team. That soccer team. And when I think about that team versus this team, both sets of girls, great girls. I just think about the tremendous advantage that we have now that we used to not have, and that was that we played on a traditional grass field.
Yeah.
And so the ball reacts totally different. There were a number of times as being an assistant principal that we'd go to the other side of the state, and the ball would just run away because it reacted differently. And I'm excited that we don't have that disadvantage anymore.
You're
that
used to it.
The investment happened, and our teams have great fields to be able to play on. And,
Did they play at the middle school still then, or did they play at EOU? In
So
2013.
In 2013, they played all their games at least my recollection, so I might be wrong, but my recollection is we played all games at that middle school field.
At the middle school field, yeah. They
Yeah.
played there when I was in high school too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Tell me, what's the arrangement with Community Stadium, and how? I mean, how does financially? It's Community Stadium.
Yep.
How do you guys? How do you guys split that responsibility?
For us, I think the simplest way is EOU is the sort of holder of the field. It's on their campus.
Right.
We are a financial supporter to the upkeep or to the installation. The installation and then the upkeep of that field. So we pay a fee per year to be able to make sure that when that turf is at end of life, that we can replace it.
Yeah.
As a user of that field. So
Yeah.
that's and then scheduling. It's back and forth between EOU and us in terms of availability and what sport and when.
Right.
So Darren Goodman does a great job of working with EOU to get that.
Just navigate that schedule.
Figure that
whatever it might
schedule
be.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and they have EOU has a thing where they're only allowed on the turf at certain times. I don't know exactly how it works, but what about when when the field was first built? Where you were here?
I was here.
When the
Yeah.
turf field was put in.
Yep.
But so at that time, that was the funding the community, or was it EOU, or was it split?
I don't remember enough to be able to speak to that. I know that there was an ask from the district, and that there was a comment or sort of a decision point about, do we build our own? Do we make the high school field better and have our own and be able to have that sort of exclusively? There was a large number batted around about the expense or cost of that.
Imagine that.
And then there was we have the ability to partner and have something maybe even better, but not have it all our own. And,
Right.
Yeah.
and so we made the decision to partner with EOU and to be able to do that.
I think it was a good decision.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, I don't mind. I don't. I'm not inside, but I hear a lot about what's going on, and there hasn't been any major issues with sharing it.
We do that all over the place and all over the district. Another example in sports is the softball, baseball fields.
Right. I was going to ask about
Right.
that. Right.
The
Yeah.
city
Right.
owns those.
City owns those. We partner.
Yeah.
There's agreements to how we do that, and Stu's great to work with and helping our teams to be able to maximize the use of those facilities. And so I would just say rural Eastern Oregon, we're used to that sort of setup, and
Right.
and it's allowed us the capacity to have really quality facilities for our community that are shared. I think the biggest one for us, and shout out to everyone who worked on it, the Wildcat Center, if you haven't been in it.
Awesome.
It's a fantastic facility. It's a gym, and I think everyone's excited about being able to use those 3 gyms that are in there. But that's the first one that sort of we're the holder of, and that we can be able to share and partner with other agencies. The high school gym, when we redid that one,
Right.
people were like, "Ooh, that's a great facility.
Right.
Can we use that?" So George has done a great job over his tenure of maximizing facilities and getting us the best surfaces so that we can be able to compete at a state level. It's been great.
Thank goodness that he's a sports dude himself. You know what I mean? That helps. It
Well,
doesn't hurt at all.
he's definitely a EOU alum and
played football.
played
He's got
football.
Kids that play sports.
I think the thing is with school, sports, athletics, clubs, activities, band, choir do the same thing. It's you have to have that connection to school. And sports give you that connection.
Yeah.
It gives you a reason why I need to pass all my classes, I need to do my things. And so when we invest in athletics or clubs or different fundraising opportunities for band or choir or others, all that does is strengthen their academic achievement.
100%. Scientific evidence says that kids that are involved in extracurricular activities get in trouble less and do better in school.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Now, it doesn't speak well for their attendance because they're all over the state, but they recover pretty well.
Yeah.
And teachers do a great job of supporting them and helping to make sure that they can be able to do what they need to in the classroom. But it's been a great focus and good outcome for the last number of years.
Well, you mentioned attendance. How are things going?
You know, attendance is interesting. It used to be when I first started, we talked about average daily attendance, which is, you know, how many butts in the seat on any given day, and we were about 92%. We've hung around there for a long time. The state changed the metric that they sort of really look at, and it's called regular attender rate, and that's if you maintain 90% or better attendance over the course of the year. One of the things that I think confuses parents, and reasonably so, is that the state doesn't care if those absences are excused or unexcused.
Oh.
The law says that parents can excuse for certain reasons, and so we make those excused. But when schools are accountable to the state, they put all those together.
Doesn't matter.
And it's just how often were you in class.
Huh.
And so we've transitioned a lot of our communication to the community, especially post-COVID, because attendance during COVID wasn't really a big deal or a thing, to be able to talk about how close is your student to maintaining regular attendance status. We've got new monthly attendance letters that are automatic that tell families how their student's doing. We communicate a lot more frequently. The other big shift in our local community for attendance is that we saw a huge decrease in the regular attender rate pre-COVID to post-COVID. So before COVID, our regular attender rate was 82% as a district, so fairly high. Last year, it was 66%.
Ooh, wow.
And so when you talk about the number of kids missing 17 days or more during a school year, that number increased dramatically across all districts in Union County. In addition, there was a law, Measure 110, that said that truancy sort of disappeared, like we weren't going to hold families accountable for that attendance. The issue became so significant that there was a committee of the DA's office, the city council, county commission members, school districts that said we need to bring an ordinance back. And so recently the county commissioners, after all the city jurisdictions passed the ordinance, the county commissioners passed a new truancy ordinance to say your kid needs to be in school. We can't not come to school for 2 years and then jump back in and think we're going to be successful. And so that's new. We're going to be working with families to help them to attend so that that's not an outcome. But if we can't get kids to school, then that's a tool we can use. So,
just to give people a little perspective, to hit that 90%, right? You can miss one class every 2 regular weeks and hit 90%. 10 days, one class, you're still hitting 90.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, when I was in school, I didn't miss one class in a month.
Well,
or one day in a month.
Yeah, and I would say every family's different.
Right.
Get it. School needs to be viewed sort of as a job, right? That we should be there every day. It's important. We miss important things when we miss school. It's hard to catch back up. It puts stress and pressure on kids. But at the same time, there's kids with chronic illness. Yep. There's kids with anxiety. There's kids that their family, dad works for the railroad or mom works for the railroad, and so their vacation time is not conveniently set during the school calendar. And so they take a vacation here or there. So there are reasonable reasons why families miss. What we're trying to do is, if you attend above 90%, your success rate goes up dramatically. And we want kids to be able to feel successful in classes. And we're going to partner with them to try to make that happen. So those are 2 updates: State of Oregon sort of rule changes, and then local that have put some added pressure on districts to be able to have high attendance rates.
I like the new thing where like you can threaten with the fine, right? Is that what it is?
Well,
because when I was a kid, my mom put the fear of God in me. We're all going to get arrested if you don't go to school. We're going to end up in jail.
You know, I've had the opportunity over, this is my 11th year in the district, to be in those hearings. And I would say that my experience is that when we go in those hearings, that we share information. Judges have been great in terms of saying, hey, what are the reasons? Let's work on it, giving a grace period. Families working on it. There might have been one family that was fined over the period of time that we had that ordinance. It was really like helping families to make decisions and being able to get back in school so that they could be successful. We want the support of multiple agencies to help families to make school a priority. The focus isn't to punish or penalize.
No,
Right.
no.
No, it's just to bring accountability.
Yeah.
Which is missing sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, we are noticing that you've missed, 5 days out of last month. Whatever it might be.
What can we do to help?
Yeah. So I was married to a school teacher, and she was a school. I mean, it's been a little while, but one of the things that she would always say is like, education is faddish. I mean, the newest thing that's coming around, and I guess are there times when, well, I guess, do you agree with that? And then do some of the things that come from the state, you're like, oh my goodness, do we, is it exasperating something?
So do I see the cycle?
Yeah.
I've been around long enough
Right.
in education now that I've seen the cycle.
Yeah.
One of the easiest ones to point to is state testing.
You're right.
Right? Schools weren't performing, or people thought that they weren't performing to the degree that they needed to. No Child Left Behind happened. State testing became a big focus and priority. Kids had to pass the state test in order to graduate, or do work samples that would be able to showcase that requirement, that they'd met that requirement. We get into post-COVID or during COVID, and state testing wavered, and then afterwards people are like, why were we doing this state testing thing? And so now we see a large pool of people opting out of state testing. At the high school level, it was above 70%. Because it's not required for graduation. So why am I going to spend the time when it's not?
Yeah.
I would say that there still is a value for that state test to know where I am and what I'm able to do, but when it's not required, there's a decision there, and so we see things fall in and out of favor on occasion, and we get to navigate those. It's fun to see some of that happen. The trick for me is in the role that I play is that regardless of the legislative session, because last time there was a legislative session, it was over 100 laws that impacted education.
Oh my.
So it's taking all the new things and what can we do to integrate, to streamline, so that we can maintain or have the least impact on staff and students. We feel our strategic plan that we've been working on for the last number of years is really focused on the right things. It's holistic, and it's breeding the right results. For example, we just got some data from the state about last year's graduating class. We had 96% completer, which is about the highest we've ever had. That means that out of the class, 96% either got a State of Oregon diploma, an LHS diploma, an honors diploma, what's called a modified diploma or extended diploma, or a GED. They left with something in their hands.
It's pretty dang good.
And
96%.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're seeing the dividends of our plan, and so my job's to find ways to weave changes from the state or changes from different places into
Right.
what we're doing and make it so that it's reasonable and that we can be able to navigate forward.
Yeah.
So
what is your job? Well, since you're there, the overall.
yeah.
Yeah. What are you responsible for?
So I'm directly over all education programs, and then I am over any sort of there's some weird special programs. So Erica Dockweiler, she's our director of student services, which is special ed, 504s, some of our long-term care and treatment, but So I oversee K-12 under George's leadership, and then like our driver's ed program. That's one of my babies. One of the Tiger House, and being able to do that. CTE over the number of years has been part of that. LeGrand Virtual Learning Academy has been part of that. And so over time, I work on programs as they develop, and then sometimes hand those off, or sometimes those are maintained through my office. All federal title programs, any ESSER funds or any grant funds that the district gets, I manage those and report on those. And so I have some standard things, and then I have things that just as they happen. We worked on one of those years ago.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, I want to try this out or look at this. And so it's like, okay, well, let's get together and let's start figuring out how that's going to work.
Right.
And that's what I do.
So the principals, are they accountable to you or to George?
They're accountable directly to George.
Okay.
And then I work with them collaboratively to make things happen.
Yeah.
So I'll sit with principals and talk about different rates or different student situations or different things, and usually I'm a front row collaborator. If there's a safety issue, front row collaborator.
Yeah.
And then reporting to George and making sure that we're in alignment to what he wants to see happen, and away we go.
Now, I know it's been a couple of years ago, but we had a conversation. You actually hired EOA Live, and we did a conversation about, was it virtual learning? I don't know. What I want you to talk about is the different alternatives, because this is your area, the different alternatives that parents might have in collaborating with the school district, other than just sending their kid to school every day.
Yeah. So what most folks know about is our in-person learning. So whether it's our 3 elementaries or middle school, high school, and we have great staff that will serve kids every day there. We also, during COVID, we had what was called LLA, LeGrand Learning Academy, prior to COVID, and it was a relatively small online presence. We probably had about 10 to 25 kids in that program, mostly focused at high school. During COVID, that program grew to about 400 kids.
Right.
And we had to partner with IMESD to be able to take advantage of teachers across the region. And so we worked with IMESD to develop a collaborative, they call it VLA, and then all the regional districts, all 18 of us, slap on whether it's our U for Union or L for LeGrand. So our LVLA program is a K-12 program. We independently operate K-8, and we provide these different programs. So we have a Schools PLP as a virtual learning platform. We love Schools PLP for one reason. It's got a built-in math AI. So as soon as your kid starts to not be answering things positively or getting the correct answer, it automatically prompts and sort of suggests. So you don't have to wait for a tutor, you don't have to wait for a teacher, you don't have to wait for anyone. The AI automatically steps in, and with math that's really important, because if you're practicing wrong, it's not going to work. Then we have a Google Classroom version. We also recognize that in our community there's a big homeschool population, and I don't think a lot of our folks know that we have a program called HomeLink. And we have a certified teacher who oversees, we provide 3 different curriculums, Timberdoodle, Bookshark, or Oak Meadow, and they all have sort of a little different focus. Mrs. Baines will help them to determine which curriculum they want to use, and then we purchase that curriculum for them, and then provide them weekly study guides that they can follow and use at home. And then if they ever get stuck, Mrs. Baines is there and able to support and help grade material or be a support to them. And so families can be able to go in person, they can go online. The K-5, they can do what's called HomeLink, or that homeschool paper-based curriculum, because families are concerned about screen time. At the middle school, it becomes online, or we do something called hybrid, and that's where you can take some classes on campus or some classes online. And so if someone's really into band and they want to be part of the band, but then they want to do their core online, they can do that. At the high school, we do the same, and so kids can start to really develop a personalized schedule in terms of I can do an internship, I can do some online, I can do still band or choir, and be able to have that personalized type experience. The one time we push on those choices is when online is shown to not be very successful for that kid.
Right.
They're not completing their work, and then we work through a process of interventions, and if eventually that's not working, then we push back to we need full-time teachers to
Right.
be able to support. So sometimes that's the case, but those are the different programs we offer, and feel that we're innovating to meet the needs of our community.
So how many students do you guess that you're serving right now outside of the traditional people that show up?
Yeah, so right now, ballpark numbers is we have at the high school about 60, 65 kids doing hybrid. We have about 36 kids that are full-time online at the high school level. And then K-8, we have about 35 that are HomeLink, online, or that hybrid model. So one of the interesting things was during COVID, there were about 200, 225 elementary online students through LVLA. And that, as soon as COVID ended, the elementary folks were like, I want my kid with a teacher again in a classroom during the grade year. So we saw that number fall faster than maybe high school, where they can be more independent and making those choices. So.
That's the online classes, like that's a very like small percentage of kids that can be successful there, I think. I mean, all of my kids were in high school during COVID, and none of them did well. And you have to be self-motivated. You have to be driven. I didn't do well in online classes, like in college.
I would tell you that, and we work with families, but you're right. It takes a motivated family. It takes planning for that, for that situation. But we have about 80% of our kids are passing their online classes, which is higher than the state, higher than other places. We have not seen a negative impact to graduation rate because of that program, and it's because our staff do a great job of working with families and supporting and making decisions along the way to say, is this working or is it not, and how can we make adjustments to make sure that they graduate.
That shows that you guys are doing what you should be doing.
Well, and I guess is it better? I mean, over the course of time, as online stuff has increased, is it doing better at keeping kids engaged? And I mean, it's kind of. I mean, it seems like it used to be, it's like, okay, here's a worksheet, study it, go over it. We'll talk about it for a few minutes, and you have a test. I mean, is the engagement better?
So I would say overall, yes.
Okay.
So back when we started the online academy, I think it's about 8-9 years ago now. There was essentially two vendors and it was mostly reading based. So if you looked at Odysseyware or you looked at what was called Florida Virtual, there was you read this stuff and you answer this question. It was really that way. There was one company out there called Acellus, and that was video based, and then watch this 5-minute video, answer these questions. And so it was really, I would say you're either a reader or you're a watcher, and you answer a few questions. Now, because of the AI technology, because of the, I would just say the investment by curriculum vendors of making it so that there's a shift it provides readers, it provides interpretation, it provides mixture of video and text, it provides just different services to where, and the grade books have gotten better in terms of monitoring time, immediately reporting, automatic grading, so that as a parent I can navigate that and be able to maintain focus or direction on what's happening in that classroom. I don't know if it will ever be the same as a classroom in terms of the conversations that can happen between peers or a teacher about an issue. I'm an old social studies teacher, and so I don't know if it will ever fall out of me that we could have great conversations about class structures during the French Revolution and how they mimicked or may be similar to what we see today in our culture, and it was fun to see lights turn on in people's eyes.
Right. Yeah.
Unless it's a live online class.
Yeah,
And everybody's in
and usually those are hard because most online families want the flexibility to do
Right.
the content whenever they
Right.
What
want.
do they call it? Asymmetric or what?
Asynchronous.
Asynchronous. Thank you. It means like you do it at your own schedule, right?
The better definition is just do it when you want to.
Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But I think that interaction and the citizenship that's created by navigating people's beliefs or values
Yeah.
or different things is what's wonderful about a classroom space.
Yeah.
And being able to watch that created, giving people, sometimes people are like, I don't like collaborative projects. I want to work independently. But the skills to be able to do that, navigate that are important. I would
life.
just
Real life
civically or at work. So the classroom's a magical place. I'll always sort of love that space.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been there, but online is doing great things.
Well, it'd be like
supporting any
labs, a chemistry lab. It's like you
Yeah.
can't do that online,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so there's just some things.
There's limitations to everything.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is just character development too. Like you need to be around people. I think.
Yeah. Well, and
That's my.
I would agree. I would say a lot of these families find other ways to be able to do that. They might be involved in like a gymnastics or a equestrian. There's a few in our community that are equestrian. They have a group or people that they're with. Homeschool families, they love to get together and do collaboratives. And so it's where's your community, and we want to support those communities.
So let's talk about for a minute. So like if you have a homeschool family, do they have the opportunity to be involved in sports, or what activities can they be involved in at the school district?
They can be involved in sports clubs and activities. The door is open. And so even if they're an online student or a homeschool student, even not with us, they still can participate in those opportunities.
Is there a cost to that for them?
It's the same cost as
Whatever everybody else would.
student fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Super interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay, what else is new?
We're excited about, if people haven't had a chance to drive by Third and I. Third and I used to be a vacant lot owned by the Zion Lutheran Church. It's now the home of our first Tiger House.
Yeah.
Our Tiger House, right now we're installing the landscaping. We're painting the inside. We're about to lay flooring and get cabinetry in there. By the end of December, we hope to have it completed. And we were able to get a federal allocation of over $500,000 to start that as seed money. Parker McKinley's done a great job. Gus Chachas and his team at GCT, and then other subcontractors have been working with us since last September to get this house up and going. It's been a fantastic project. We've seen, it's been a lightning rod for our community in terms of donation or contractors working directly with our kids to show them a trade. Last year we had 3 seniors that left the program and went right into the trades, and they're like, I love this, that's what I want to do. We saw kids who were struggling at school sort of turn around and be like, I find a reason and purpose for being here. And so Tiger House has done a great job. Again, it was funded by a federal allocation in that grant that I manage, but Parker and Gus sort of lead on the construction side. The city and county have been great partners in terms of permitting and help working with us to make it go. But we're excited at the end when it's done. We're going to do an open house for folks so that they can tour it. It'll probably be late December, early January, somewhere in there, and then it'll be sold to likely to Grand Ronde Hospital. They've communicated that they want to be a partner. They have visiting nurses or providers that they need housing for, and so they're going to be purchasing that and moving forward. And we've already dug the foundation for the next one.
Cool.
And we're
Is
excited
it right
about
in that same area?
It's right next to it. So we
Okay.
subdivided that lot that we purchased from Zion Lutheran, and we're already working on number 2, and it's going to be fantastic. So.
And there are actually 2 units there, if I'm right. Yeah, like a duplex.
Yeah.
But they're nice, and they're kind of funky.
Townhouse, sort of townhouse style.
Yeah.
Super quiet. If you go into them, they're insulated well. There's a 8-inch, cement wall in between. Karen Chachas and her team have done a great job of designing the space. Yeah. It really is a nice location close to our campus, which is nice, so kids just walk over and participate.
Right.
and then close to GRH so providers can get there and
Yeah.
do the great work that they do.
That's awesome. Now, did the high school also partner a little bit with Youth for Christ with the coffee part of? I mean,
Taste of the Tiger?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Talk about that a little bit, will you?
So, Taste of the Tiger has been around. Corey Ackerman, again, and then Kevin, I forget Kevin's
Rainey.
name. Kevin Rainey. We look for ways for our students in what's called Youth in Transition Program to be able to provide transition services for kids with IEPs or other needs, maybe some without IEPs, to be able to have work experience and develop those work skills. And so Corey designed the program, worked with Kevin to be able to say, how can we do it? It was on campus for a little while when we had the Taste Tiger on campus. But when Youth for Christ built that tremendous J House facility, they were like, how can we work together? How can we do this? And so they gave us, or we partner on space within that facility. Corey is now a SPED teacher, and we have Justin Gardner who oversees that. But all year long, so even through the summer, we have students that are serving drinks and some treats out of that location and learning job skills and doing great work.
Yeah.
It's been a great partnership. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we see a mass flood go out the high school doors to go get lunch from there, because their lunch, they don't have any federal rules.
No,
I don't blame the kid. Like, you have chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, all sorts of stuff. From us, we're counting calories, that sort of stuff, because of the federal rules. But it's a great partnership having them next door and being able to serve kids that way. And then being a home for Taste the Tiger. Reason Taste the Tiger is there is because of those federal rules. If we had maintained Taste the Tiger on campus, there would be about 8 drinks that we could provide.
Oh, wow.
Because it's off campus, that's a way to be able to serve.
To get them all hyped up on caffeine and sugar.
I would just say serve everyone and anyone those drinks. And we tried it out for a little while. We tried to keep it on campus and only serve those 8 drinks. It quickly went in the red.
Yeah.
And it meant risking losing the program.
Yeah.
And so while we're not trying to subvert federal requirements, I mean, that wasn't our intent. That wasn't why we did it. We did it to maintain the program and the financial structure for that program so that kids could have a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's what we want.
So there's a bunch of conversation about phones in school right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are you guys? I mean,
Oh,
I haven't.
man.
Yeah, where's that conversation in the school district? Yeah.
Open up a can of worms.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're giving me all the easy questions today, Brent.
Well, yeah.
Cell phones are an interesting one. The advent of the cell phone has happened so fast.
Yeah.
It may not seem like it, but like I would say, 15 years ago, we all had flip phones and we thought we were cool. And now all of a sudden we have the world in our hand.
Right, yeah.
And it's amazing the access that everyone has all day long, all the time. And if you're trying to do, it could be a tremendous educational tool. Different states are starting to come out with information, data, research about the impact of having the world at your hand all day long.
Right.
That when that cell phone pings, the dopamine happens, and that reward system is so strong that it's really hard to not look at your phone all the time.
Yeah.
And that's really harder and a negative impact maybe in education. It might be creating anxiety. It might be creating other things that make it
whatever it's creating, it's not educational.
Maybe hard for kids. And so educational institutions, there's been a wave of it in the last 4 months of states starting to say we're not encouraging cell phones in schools. Oregon in October of this year released its first guidance on cell phones. And cell phones have been around for a while.
Right.
First guidance ever?
It's guidance saying that it recommends that school districts revisit their policies and maybe consider restricting the use of cell phones in schools.
Can you talk about our policy real fast, just to let
our
people
policy
know?
really quick? It's in our board policy is that it is restricted in classrooms. So K-5 cell phones, thankfully, are really not an issue.
Right.
We have not seen that be like a huge thing, like little kindergartners walking in with cell phones. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate that families, K-5 generally, cell phones aren't a school impact. At our middle school right now, it's cell phones are put away from the word go. Because it isn't an open campus. They don't have the ability to drive. They don't have any of those things. And the impact, I'll just say, we were tracking discipline data, mental health data, some different things, and it was a tremendous impact. And so we've seen improvement with saying we're not going to allow cell phones. Chris Wagner and his team there at the middle school have done a great job of communicating that, of keeping families up to date on that policy. So it's a way. At the high school, it's a little bit more complicated because you have passing periods. We don't want to deputize teachers and make them like watching the hallways, and doing all that. That seems a little draconian. Lunch is open campus because just the commons in our school can't facilitate 600 and some odd kids at one time, so it's an open campus. And so kids are coming in and out of that campus at lunch and then passing periods. So the rule there is when it's in class, it's put away. We need to focus on what the teacher's doing. If the teacher gives permission for it to be, come out as an educational tool, policy allows for that. But otherwise, it needs to stay away. And if it's pulled out and the teacher notices it, then they're going to take it, put it in the office. The kid can pick it up at the end of school. And we try to make it as sort of easy, nonchalant as possible.
Right.
But that ability to focus on complex tasks or learning objectives, we really need their focus, and it's hard when you're combating the world that's sitting in their pocket.
Yeah.
And everything that could be happening to them on social media.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for the shift a little bit in various states across the nation, and then in Oregon as well.
So where do you think, when LeGrand revisits that, the board revisits that, do you think there's going to be a movement there?
No, I think our policy's good.
Okay.
I think we're sitting in a good place. It's not, it's reasonable. It's reasonable for the age that the students are. I think at the high school, we'll continue to navigate that in terms of in classrooms. That's when we need your focus. Other times it's your time, and be able to do that. I think it's reasonable, and I think right now we're not seeing huge issues with that type of policy. So the other truth of that is that there are districts like I think it's North Clackamas that bought pouches, and it's they're leasing them for $27 a student, and they lock them at the beginning of the school day.
Crazy.
They're locked all day, and then they're unlocked. I would just say 27 times 2,100 kids is a big investment to just have a cell phone pouch.
Right.
And some districts are spending $300,000 or going in that direction. We're not feeling the need to go there and to be that invasive. I would say, tongue in cheek, sometimes we might joke about like putting a scrambler on top of the high school, but we don't do that, and don't have the need to do that.
So, like you guys have not, like as a school district, you've never had like the teachers union or teachers come and say, "Hey, man, we're having troubles with kids."
I think we have had those comments. We have had teachers, frustrated that like here I'm trying to do this work, trying to support kids. And, they're just listening to music. They missed half the lesson because they're listening to music, or they're trying to hide their phone, or they're focused on other things. And so I'm re-explaining things 3 or 4 times, trying to help them.
Are they allowed? Does that include these?
We have not addressed watches.
So essentially, I could be on my phone all day.
Yeah, you could be. And I would say we keep working with students and going back and reteaching. This is the expectation. We keep working with families to like, hey, we need the cell phone put away, and please help us. So yes, is there frustration? Yes. Is it to the point that we're going to change policy? No.
Yeah. I hate the argument from families that, I need to get a hold of my kid. It's like, no, okay. First off, if you really need to get a hold of your kid, call the school. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like,
I think that ship has sailed. And the reason I say that is that my wife and I were probably one of the last ones to have a landline in our house. I don't know. I don't know where you guys are at, but really reluctant to give that up.
Yeah.
But we've given over to that. I think that just as much as cell phones are disruptive to students, parents, adults are highly
Kind of
trained
disruptive
users.
also, yeah.
Are highly trained users, and it is part of our culture. It is who we are. We are different today than we were maybe 20, 30 years ago in terms of our connectiveness and what the expectation is in that connectiveness.
Yeah.
I would also say that, you know, there were school safety or concerns about school safety or concerns about my kid coming home from school because of instances or news about sex trafficking or, you know, different concerns, drugs or other things. Parents want to feel connected to their kid. They want to know that they're safe, because we have focused a lot on what's not going well.
Right.
Right? And so I understand that need to feel connected. My hope is that in schools that we can keep that to where we need to focus on our primary task, just like parents when they're at work, they're focused on, I need to do work and I need to focus on my primary task, and that we can put that cell phone away until it's more appropriate. And we hope as a district that we can partner with parents and families and kids to live in that world and not become draconian in terms of it's just got to be away. We don't even want to see it.
So you're a curriculum dude. That's one of the things that you kind of manage. So talk to us about how you guys are collaborating with EOU and admissions and what's happening in that process. Yeah.
EOU has been a tremendous partner. If families don't know, in the last 2 years, we're one of the first schools in the region to develop a hub for our university and our 2-year program, BMCC. So BMCC and EOU actually have a shared space at the LeGrand campus. It's called the Tiger Hub. They're there 3 days a week. EOU's there 2 days a week. BMCC's probably there 2 days, maybe 1 day a week, depending on the week, to be able to support kids in making the transition. Talk directly to staff at EOU. EOU's been a great partner in dual credit opportunities at our school. BMCC as well has been a great partner. EOU has found a niche where they've realized that CTE programs really drive graduation rate. If you have a kid that completes 3 credits of CTE or a career in technical ed, so Woods program, welding program, whatever, they have about a 97% grad rate. And so we as a high school encourage lots of kids to do CTE.
They have about 97% what?
Graduation rate.
Okay, all right.
And so what happens is we promote CTE. Well, CTE naturally goes to the CCs or BMCC,
right,
because they promote those trades.
Right.
EOU has not really, in the past, latched into that framework.
Right.
And Kathleen Brown and her team and Dr. Ryan have done a great job of realizing that drive in CTE and being able to say, oh, this is how CTE classes connect to EOU. And so now they're starting to communicate with our kids that way. So that's a new program. We also just recently inked a deal that's sort of the gold standard in the state of Oregon. And that is that we have a direct admissions program now. Family can be able to sign what's called a release of information, an ROI, and we will send EOU their transcript. If they have a 2.5 or better, they automatically are in. Yeah. They don't have to do an application, they don't have to do essays, they don't have to do any of that stuff. And EOU immediately starts to communicate if you have a 3.0, 3.5, 4.0, this is the level of financial support you automatically receive. So it's not guesswork anymore. Like if my kid, so I have a junior, shout out to Elizabeth Carpenter, she's going to consider a couple different schools, right?
Right.
And so at the beginning of the year, if we sign the ROI, because she's got above a 2.5, and she wants to go to EOU, then they'll immediately say you're in, and by the way, it's this cost for you. From the word go, so families don't have to worry, wonder. They can be like, okay, maybe we can spend the year planning for that amount. And we'll talk about housing, whether to live at home or on campus. And so it speeds up that conversation. The other part that it does is it reduces the anxiety of what's going to happen next year.
Right.
Families get used to 13 years of, I'm going to work with the LeGrand School District or whatever district they're a part of. And now all of a sudden it's in question, because now it's not like, oh, we're just going to go to school. And so there's a lot of anxiety that builds up as you get further into that senior year for seniors about like, what am I going to do? And it's almost petrifying in some cases. And so to be able to have something in the bag, to be able to know, we already know this opportunity, it's a known quantity. Now let's research a few others if we want to, or let's really invest in this conversation with EOU as we finish the senior year, is a great benefit to our kids and to our community, because those kids then have the opportunity to stay local, to learn local, and then become part of our economy and the next generation of what makes LeGrand great. And so for us, making it that simple has been a really cool process. Genesis and her team at EOU and admissions have been great to work with, and we're excited about it. I get to visit with what's called the Higher Ed Coordinating Council, the HEC, about how to do that in different places in the state and how they're going to make that work. So it's pretty exciting, that direct admissions program.
Well, and on top of that, if kids are smart about it, then they're taking courses that will automatically apply to their college, right? And so there are some kids that are starting their freshman year almost as juniors, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So we have so the deepest we go into that is you can actually, if you're like a unicorn, you do this classes, you like do calculus and you do ag, you can actually get your AA degree at LeGrand High School.
That's crazy.
Most kids are not that unicorn where they're like, I'm going to prioritize that over everything.
Right.
Because that would mean that you don't do band, you don't do choir, you
yeah.
don't do certain things. But the kid that's like, I want to do band and choir, but I want to do some college credits, I want to do that. Most kids will graduate or could graduate pretty easily with around 30 credits.
Right.
University credits, so that they're able to go and do. And in Spanish, if you go through Spanish 3 and then do the test at the end, you can get 12 credits.
Right.
So there's lots of opportunities for kids to earn credits and get ahead a little bit.
Right. So there's a possibility of, if they're ahead if they think about that they could, in 2.5 years of college, they could have a BA.
Yeah. The other thing that we do with EOU, because they're so close, is that if a high school senior is on track to graduate and they have free time in their schedule, we pay for them to go to EOU to take classes if they have room for those classes. So we try to be a great partner and provide lots of opportunities to our LHS students.
Wow. Well, Scott, thank you for being here, filling in for George. I did not explain that because we advertised yesterday that George had another obligation, and so you stepped in for him this morning, and we really appreciate that. Yeah.
One last shout out. It wasn't mentioned in the sports report, but just Brooke Perry, state championship.
It's already been mentioned. That's
it was mentioned yesterday.
Bro.
It was old news.
Come on, man. That was
I
on
heard.
Tuesday.
I was listening to the sports update. I'm like,
no, that was on Tuesday. And,
Brooke and CC.
And there's a post on our stuff about it and a picture.
Awesome.
Yeah,
good deal. You did a great job there.
But mention it again.
I talked all about the last 4 years across girls cross country, because we've had 3 out of the 4 state champions in the last 4 years, and Brooke and CC switched places. You know, it's awesome girls.
Brooke's a neighbor, and I get to see that kid run by every day, and I have never seen as disciplined kid in my life. Every day, all the time. Like, it's just fun to watch. And so, shout out to them.
She won
Love what
state championship in track her freshman year too.
Yeah.
She's a go-getter.
She's got a different gear. It's sort of fun
that girls cross country team's different, and it has been for the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, and no disrespect to Cece, she's been there, done that, done a lot of great things. Won last year. So congratulations to her as well. I think the benefit to both of them is that they have each other. Yeah. And that they can.
Brooke's got one more year.
They can be able to push and do and feel that. So thanks for having me today.
Awesome.
Yeah, you bet. All right, man.
Let's do it real fast. First, let me talk to Bud. Bud said you needed to play at the swamp where the high school track was there. This was way a long time ago. We just got into too much stuff. He said it would be a character builder in spring during the rainy seasons. Yeah, Bud, welcome back. Bud's back home now, I think he said he was coming home yesterday. On this day, November 14th, 1666, English writer Samuel Pepys writes the first report of a blood transfusion. 1666. It was between dogs. They transfused blood between dogs. 1851 on this day, Moby Dick by Herman Melville was first published by Harper and Brothers in the U.S. 1908 on this day, Albert Einstein presents his quantum theory of light. 1970 on this day, sports tragedy. The entire Marshall football team was killed in a DC-9 air crash at Canova, West Virginia. 75 people, all 75 people on board died in that crash. 1997 on this day, Disney's Lion King sets the Broadway record for daily sales. 2.7 million on Broadway in one day. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
2018, Edward Hopper's painting Chop Suey sells for $92 million, which is a record for an artist at an auction in New York City. $92 million for a painting. 2023 on this day, the world's first protected area for sperm whales is set up off the coast of the Caribbean island in Dominica. On this day, the number one song in America in 2014 is All About the Bass by Meghan Trainor. And then the quote of the day comes from John Birmingham. Words matter, and the right words matter most of all. In the end, they're all that remain of us. One more time. Words matter, and the right words matter most of all. In the end, they're all that remain of us.
All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Hey, thank you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
And so, we'll see you all soon.
Tuesday.